The wife of Roger Federer was no longer able to keep quiet about Alex Eala. The tennis world came to a halt when she eventually spoke. This is what no one told you. Sitting calmly in the stands, Mirka Federer is more than just a helpful wife. She played tennis professionally. She is very aware of what talent looks like. She is fully aware of the scent of this sport's future. This woman, who had watched tennis at the top level for more than 20 years, paid particular attention to Alex Eala for some reason. This is where things become complex though. This is when things start to get interesting. There is more to the tale of Alex Eala and Mirka Federer than just compliments. It has to do with legacy. It's about what occurs when two worlds encounter at the same academy on the same courts under the same sun in Mallorca, Spain. One that governed tennis for 20 years and the other that is only now starting to do so. You're going to hear something more significant than a compliment, so stay with me. No one even noticed that a generational transfer of the torch was taking place. You must comprehend Mirka Federer's true identity before we discuss Alex Eala. Because she has been reduced to a footnote in Roger's biography for years. The woman grinning from the player's box is the devoted wife and mother of 4. However, that image is not full. Dangerously lacking. The life of Mirka Federer starts long before she was married to Federer. She was Miroslava Venek, a professional tennis player who competed for Switzerland in the Olympics in Sydney in 2000. She had a competitive mindset. She was sincere. Her career was then ended by a foot injury. And during those same games, she gave her everything to the man she had fallen in love with. Take a moment to consider what that means. This woman experienced the same hardships, suffered the same anguish, and competed on the same courts as a professional tennis player. She doesn't watch games in the same manner as a casual fan. She is observing it as a gamer would. She observes the footwork. She observes the shift in weight. Before a pivotal moment, she can perceive the mental poise, or lack thereof, in a player's eyes. Roger acknowledges that Mirka has kept him grounded and modest throughout his career. Despite his prominence, her influence made sure he never lost sight of his origins and kept an impartial viewpoint. However, this was what the world overlooked. Mirka was doing more than just controlling Roger's ego. She was quietly becoming into one of the sport's most perceptive talent spotters. Additionally, something changed after Roger resigned in September 2022. Mirka was no longer dependent on the path of a single player. She was able to view the sport with new eyes and ask herself, who is coming next? For the first time in 20 years. She was going to learn that the answer was a 20-year-old Filipino girl who was trained at a tennis academy in Mallorca, an establishment that the Federer family, it turned out, was well familiar with. This is where the true connection happens, so hold on. The Federers were not merely admirers of Alex Eala. They strolled down the same path as her. And everything is altered by that. In Mallorca, Spain, the Rafa Nadal Academy offers more than just tennis instruction. It is a champion factory. It is a place where genius is sharpened, hardened, and made more dangerous. It was also home to Alex Eala. Eala won the renowned Les Petites As competition at the age of 12, earning her a scholarship to the Rafa Nadal Academy. Her family took the tough choice to transfer her to Mallorca, Spain, when she was 13 years old. The training there would eventually result in her WTA circuit breakthrough and her 2022 US Open Junior victory. 7 years. Inside those walls, Alex Eala lived for 7 years. On those clay courts, she trained. She dined there. Within the academy, she transformed from a young girl into a fighter. In nearly every interview, she gives the academy credit, stating, "The academy was able to build on that foundation in such a way that I'm able to be where I am now." This is where the Federer connection becomes clear. Roger Federer has been candid and kind about the Rafa Nadal Academy, revealing that he and Mirka both send their kids there for training. Federer expressed his concern that his children might come as lefties, a humorous reference to Rafael Nadal's well-known left-handed style of play. It wasn't merely a joke though. It was affection. It was confidence. Federer, his wife Mirka, and their twin children, Mila Rose and Charlene Riva, paid the academy a visit in July 2025. The legendary Swiss figure interacted with young trainees, posing for pictures and signing autographs. This is what caused the tennis community to gasp in silence. Alex Eala has spent 7 years walking through the same academy hallways, courts, and clay. Charlene Riva and Mila Rose, Federer's twin daughters, were spotted posing for an encore shot in their tennis gear at the same facility that gave birth to one of the most exciting young players in women's tennis today. Mirka was present. She observed the surroundings. She was aware of the culture. And if you know anything about Mirka Federer, you can see that she did not stroll those courts feeling nothing because of her profound understanding of the sport and her meticulous observation of talent. This did not happen by accident.
There was a confluence here.
At the same address, two legacies get together. However, the relationship is even more profound because a member of the Federer community did more than simply stop by the academy. He articulated exactly what Mir was thinking on national television. The internet was shattered by his remarks. Paul Annacone is not a man who readily gives praise. Pete Sampras won 14 Grand Slam championships under his tutelage. During one of the most successful times in the Swiss legend's career, he was Roger Federer's coach. People who play tennis stop what they're doing and pay attention when Paul Annacone comments about a player. The tennis community therefore leaned in when he sat down on Tennis Channel Live and began discussing Alex Eala. Annacone expressed with clarity and sincere appreciation. Her grin has the power to brighten any space. She defeated Iga Swiatek last year, and I recall how gracefully and humbly she did it. Because I enjoy her style of play, I thought it was fantastic to watch her win that match, play afterward, and attempt to keep getting better. Grace, modesty, and advancement. A Federer coach does not use those phrases carelessly. During Roger Federer's ascent, those precise phrases were used to characterize him. And everybody who was paying attention noticed that Annacone, a man who sat courtside with the greatest player of all time, was using the same language about a 20-year-old Filipino girl. Obviously, she wants to improve from where she is now, but she has a lot of good hand-eye coordination and the ability to take the ball early and redirect, Annacone added. Technical compliments of the highest caliber include taking the ball early and rerouting under duress. That is the vocabulary of a coach who has witnessed greatness firsthand and is identifying its early indicators in a fresh player. This is what everyone has thought, but no one has actually stated. Paul Annacone is not an isolated individual. He converses with Roger. He converses with the Federer group. And Mirka Federer would have heard every word, having listened to the world's most complex tennis discussions for 20 years. Eala, who had already defeated elite women like Donna Vake and Jasmine Paolini in 2026, was getting ready to make her Indian Wells debut as the 31st seed when Annacone praised her. This wasn't speculative compliments about a potential customer. This was acknowledgement of someone who was already performing at the top level. And the internet exploded, especially the Filipino tennis community, which is one of the most fervent sports fan populations worldwide. Because it's more than simply a compliment when Roger Federer's coach affirms your player. It's a coronation. Here's what you haven't heard yet though. Because Alexa's tale extends well beyond anything any coach could say about her. Even the most reserved and shy tennis players are forced to eventually speak up by what she has already accomplished at the age of 20. Remain with me. Let's discuss the real accomplishments of this girl. Because sometimes we fail to simply pause and consider the outcomes in the midst of all the commotion, drama, and celebrity connections. And the outcomes are astounding. Eala was ranked 143rd in the world at the beginning of the 2025 season. Then came the Miami Open, when she entered as a wild card and gave an unforgettable performance for everyone in attendance. She overcame Madison Keys, Yelena Ostapenko, and Eka Swiatek. She advanced to the semifinals after defeating 3 Grand Slam winners.
Give that some thought.
3 Grand Slam winners in a row were eliminated by a wild card ranked 143rd in the world. Not at one of the largest WTA 1000 competitions on the schedule in Miami. According to Eala, the Miami run was the high point of her career thus far. That's what made me famous. After then, everything made sense. I just think, wow, it was insane, when I reflect on that particular time. And it didn't end there. Eala made history for Filipino tennis when she defeated top 20 player Clara Tolson at the 2025 US Open, winning her maiden Grand Slam singles match. Eala, who is now ranked 29th in the world, defeated Laura Siegrist and Magdalena to advance to the Miami Open round of 16 by March 2026. And she's doing it while bearing the burden of a whole country. Every time she takes the court, the entire country is behind her. Every Grand Slam main draw appearance, upset, every match strengthens the growing perception back home that Filipinos belong in elite tennis. Eala has been open about the costs associated with this degree of expectation. It has undoubtedly taken a mental toll, but it's also a necessary part of improving as a player, and being able to deal with that is a sign of maturity. Turning off the tennis mode and filling my cup outside of the tennis is something I believe I've been learning to do. That level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness at age 20 while leading a country. Is it any wonder that a woman like Mirka Federer, who watched the sport for 20 years and was a professional player who knows what it takes to be great, was unable to keep quiet? Because those who really understand tennis don't turn away when someone this exceptional turns up. They bend closer. Additionally, leaning in is a statement in and of itself in the Federer realm. This is the point at when the entire conversation took a different turn. Mallorca, Spain, July 2025. The Academy of Rafael Nadal. Alex Eala was raised at the same academy. Together with his wife Mirka and their twin kids, Mila Rose and Charlene Riva, Roger Federer arrived at the academy. The legendary Swiss figure interacted with the young trainees, posing for pictures and signing autographs. Imagine this scene now. The sharpest tennis mind in the Federer household, Mirka Federer is a former professional tennis player, the wife of the greatest of all time, a mother of 4, and she walks the same hallways as Alex Eala for 7 years, standing on the same courts where Eala spent 10,000 hours honing her skills. Roger made an appearance in the royal box at Wimbledon shortly before the Federers' visit. It wasn't just any holiday stop. Mirka was present throughout, and this was deliberate. Rafael Nadal himself made his first court appearance in a year a few months later. Alex Eala was his preferred practice partner. It was wonderful to be back on a tennis court a year later. Alex, it was a pleasure to train with you. Nadal wrote, "Next time, I'll be stronger," as the caption for his Instagram photo. The courts Mira walked, the academy the Federers visited, and now Nadal, Roger's biggest buddy and adversary, selecting Eala as his first practice partner after a year away. The circles are coming to an end. The ties are growing, and this 20-year-old Filipino girl who keeps winning is at the center of it all. Alison Risk-Amage, a former player, was asked whether she could think of a female celebrity who receives the same level of adulation as Eala everywhere she goes. Her response was instructive. Of course not to this degree, and I believe Alex Eala has a much greater ceiling. Mirka Federer, who has spent 20 years witnessing tennis greats establish their reputations, could see the ceiling more clearly than anyone. And when she witnesses something so uncommon, a woman who has spent so much time appreciating greatness does not remain mute.
It wasn't a press conference. It wasn't a tweet.
It wasn't an official declaration. It was more potent than everything else.
It was being there.
It was becoming visible. It was only a pufferer entering Alex Eala's world and making a statement. What comes next is the question that everyone in tennis is asking at this point. Because this is not the end of the narrative. It's just getting started. This is where we end up. This is more than simply the tale of Roger Federer's wife's response to a young athlete. This is a tale about tennis coming of age in a new generation. It's about legacies strolling down the same hallways as the future and silently nodding in agreement. Since being silent about Alex Eala was no longer honest, Mirka Federer was unable to keep quiet. And it is more important than nearly everything else in a sport where honesty is uncommon and appreciation is earned. This is the actual question at hand, the one that merits discussion in the comments. Is Alex Eala already poised to become a legend? Or does the world continue to underestimate the extent of her ceiling? You'll want to say you called it in 10 years, so leave your response below. You already know this channel is unique if you've made it this far. We seek the truth within the narrative rather than clicks. To ensure that you never miss the moment before everyone else is talking about it, subscribe and enable notifications.